This conference will now be recorded.
We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I believe we do not have any amendments, or do we have that one to add?
Which one?
For the code committee.
Yeah, I slipped another one in there. It came in today, so it's after the deadline, but when Todd and I talked, we wanted to include all of them. So it's not really an agenda amendment, it's just an extra one in that.
For the code, everybody saw that, it was emailed today, but since we had one other late one, we wanted to make sure we had them all, so. I guess it's not amendment, so I just need the approval, adoption of the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Any further discussions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes 5-0-0. Review the minutes from August 3rd regular meeting.
Second.
Any further discussions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes 5-0-0. Review the meeting minutes from our work session on August 9th.
I'll make a motion to approve the work session minutes. of
Second.
August 9th.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What?
Abstain. I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't. Good call. Passes 4-0-1.
Like, yes, you were.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that was a couple weeks ago. Passes 4-0-1. Thanks, Sarah. Accounts payable, Kevin.
Just a couple to pull attention to here. Another payment for Schumacher for their continued work on Jefferson Drive. Down at 79186, we have a mobile radio purchase for the new squad car. Have it ready as that comes and gets assembled. And then just 79176, Brian's mileage and travel for his continued education and success for preparation for continuing running the city, administrating it. So thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
So unless there's any other questions, I'll move to adopt the accounts payable in the total of $711,716.75.
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. We'll open the public comments portion of the council meeting. Individuals may address the city council about any item of concerns. Speakers must state their name and limit their remarks to 5 minutes. Any public comment? Steve?
Thank you. Well, thank you for allowing me to speak. Just a concern, I guess, hard to Hearing back my neck stuck up a little bit after I read a little bit about, you're going to be discussing ordinance issues and stuff. And I thought that's excellent. I'm really high about that. And I just want to make a comment about both ways on the ordinance thing. You know, I've been involved both ways. I had the fire down there 9 years ago. And it was working with a major fire like that with insurance companies. You know, what's insurance company made out of? They're made up of lawyers that never made it in the real world, and they're working for insurance companies that write policies they can't understand and hard to figure out, and it's always doing about themselves. And every part of that policy you have to fight for. You know, they don't come on with a checkbook and give you a check. And we found that out. Every part of that, you know, whether it be business expenses or employee, you know, things, loss of inventory, all that stuff, separate policies for everything. And it was very long-term working with this, and they would not allow us to clean up anything until they said to. And I know you guys are irritated with me for not cleaning it up, and I was held bonded there to get the money from them by not pushing that area, and they dragged it out. They dragged it out. I didn't drag it out. I wanted to get it over with. They dragged it out. They're trying to get by without paying as much as they should. And well, in the end, you know, it went 4.5 years of fighting these guys, you know. And I finally got fed up of it because you were sending me nuisance notices constantly. But see, we had no communication. And that's why I'm saying, any type of the ordinance thing with anybody else in the situation, please communicate with that person personally, not with a letter of this and that, personally, and make a huge difference. Like myself, I felt really slighted by you folks because you never came to talk to me about anything. But anyway, after 4.5 years, we just cleaned it up. And then they came back and said we intentionally cleaned it up too fast and destroyed the evidence. And then they tried to get out of paying the final amount, and we had to go to court to get that, and I had to hire another attorney. You know, it was really frustrating. I hope nobody here has a chance to go through a fire like that. It was disgusting. It was so hard. And, you know, trying to keep everything going, keep your employees paid and pay the expenses and still running the business to get money in, you know, they were difficult. So I'm just saying to you guys, the ordinance thing is very important, and how you apply it is even more important. Be respectful to the guy who's in violation, as I was in your eyes, and but communicate so you know what's going on. I don't think you guys knew that I was fighting a battle with them people.
Yeah, and not to interrupt, Steve, but the part of this committee is because we get complaints throughout the year of different ordinance violations.
Okay.
And we had nowhere or how we wanted to direct it. It was on a complaint basis. So that's why we've come up, Brian and I have been working on this code committee.
Good.
So then we can have a committee to give the council a direction of what we want to do, how we want to approach it. And we'll obviously advertise it, put it on our website, social media of different avenues we're going to go to or going to watch, because there's obviously ordinance violations. We're trying to give council a direction by a committee, and that's the purpose of us forming this code committee.
That might be
Do we have any ideas or where we're going with it? We don't yet until we get this committee.
Okay.
So now we're just picking our residents, and then we got to put we're going to have a police officer in there and myself and another council is going to be on that. So that's the purpose of this code committee.
Yes.
Is to give council a direction or how we want to handle or opinions. And that's the purpose that we formed this, just to take care of some of them issues out there and let people aware that, hey, we know about them. Let's see if we can't clean them up. And what the direction is yet, we don't know yet because that committee hasn't met yet. And I still think it's another month or two before that committee.
That's fine.
And I appreciate your
Communication is key.
And that's what it's going to be. And our police department is the one that enforces that. And there's been times that our council has gone out there and has talked to Steve or talked to this person or talked to that person. And that's what we'll do if that situation, because I know Sarah's like, I know that person very well.
Yep.
I'm going to go talk to him. And they usually take care of it before we have to go to
I would
that.
appreciate that,
So
too.
that's the purpose of
I
that.
missed on that out there when I was
Yep.
there. I missed out on the thing. And so, yeah, that's one thing I felt hurt because it seemed like nobody really cared, you know? So, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
and I appreciate your concern, and that's, I didn't want to, I mean, yeah, so that's the purpose that we have that, just to give direction and stuff like that.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you.
Perfect, thanks, Steve. Any other public comments? I will close the public comment. Yes, sir. Just state your name and your address, please.
My name's Andrew John Meyer, and as some of you know, I live just outside of town.
Is this about the moratorium?
Yes,
Okay, we have a public hearing on that, so if you can wait
sure.
2 minutes, we'll give you your time to talk about that, so.
Next agenda.
Yeah, next agenda item, so yeah, perfect. So we'll close the public comment portion, and we'll open our public hearing portion on ordinance 2023-03, establishing a moratorium regarding the sale, manufacturing, and distribution of adult cannabis. So just a little bit, we're gonna open it up, and we'll leave it open till next week. Have any more discussion that we need, and then we'll close it at that time and vote it on that time. So any public comments right now on?
First of all, let me just say, at the council meeting, the last council meeting, there was a question about restricting it too much and not being able to even smoke it in your yard and that. So Matt revised this and added that as an exception. Basically says a moratorium shall not apply to the use or possession of cannabis products as regulated by the act in private residences, including the curtilage and yard, private property not generally accessible by the public, unless a person is explicitly prohibited from consuming such cannabis products by the owner of the property. So that was added in there. Okay, no.
Perfect. Just state name and address, please.
My name's Andrew John Meyer. I live just outside of town on 180th Avenue. So the council's decision on this don't exactly affect me, but as a business owner who's trying to establish a cannabis business under the new law, I thought I'd come give it maybe a little different perspective than you have gotten so far. As I see it, the proposed ordinance has three major components that I've been able to see: the cannabis restrictions, restrictions on public use, and public possession, thirdly. While I don't agree with the need for the proposed ordinance in terms of regulating cannabis businesses, I recognize the city has an interest in regulating the number and location of those businesses. I was on a meeting last night with the Office of Cannabis Management, and their best lawyers in interim at the agency say that they will not have the regulatory authority to issue any licenses until sometime in the spring of 2025, which is well after your moratorium expires. Without a license, nobody can do any business. There will not therefore be any businesses until sometime in spring of 2025, whether or not you establish a moratorium at this time. So that would seem to make it a little bit moot, but I don't have any huge objections to that just because it's unlikely to be affected. For public use, I have reservations about how restrictions on public use are implemented. I can concede that the city has a clear interest in regulating cannabis use in public. I would urge the council to keep in mind that the new cannabis law does not give tenants the right to use cannabis in their private residences, which mean that this ordinance's public use prohibitions will fall disproportionately on the city's renters. In the weeks since the cannabis law went into effect, I have borne witness to public use of intoxicants, namely alcohol, and I have braved a cloud of acrid smoke during a night at the park from a cigar. I would ask the council to consider how current smoking bans and open container laws are enforced and whether we need new prohibitions, since cannabis seem to fall under the current no smoking laws. As for the public possession piece, the proposed ordinance's ban on public possession is the most far-reaching and consequential part of the ordinance, and certainly will cause the most harm if it's enacted in its current form. At the beginning of the month, state law changed to allow possession of 2 pounds of cannabis in a private residence or 2 ounces of cannabis in public. The ordinance before you tonight will reimpose criminal sanction on this otherwise lawful behavior. To get an idea of how many people will be affected by the ordinance, we can look to a new Gallup poll just out showing that 17% of Americans report using cannabis regularly. If we apply those numbers to Zumbrota, that's 633 residents here who this proposed ordinance will make criminals of again. While the proposed ordinance does make an exception for possession in private residence or yard or curtilage, as we've heard, it would be folly to think that anyone could possess cannabis legally inside the city without violating the public possession part of the ordinance. What good is it to allow possession in a private residence if it is still illegal to bring cannabis through public streets to get to your residence in the first place? Furthermore, the proposed ordinance does not lay out exactly how violations are to be punished. Are we to assume that public possession will be a petty misdemeanor punishable by fine, or a gross misdemeanor punishable by up to a year of jail time? Either way, the harms of the prohibition of public possession clearly outweigh whatever interest the city may have in keeping simple possession out of public view for just another year. In my review of similar cannabis moratoriums being imposed by other Minnesota municipalities, I can find no other examples of cities which have banned public possession, not even in Mazeppa. I urge the council to reconsider the proposed cannabis moratorium. I understand that legal cannabis is new territory for all of us, but I believe that reimposing criminal sanction on public possession is the wrong way to start. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Andrew. Council, any comments on that?
That was one of the issues that we talked about last time, was not having that in the penalty, wasn't it? The possession issue? It was supposed to be just regarding the sale, manufacture, and distribution of it, not the possession of it. And yet in the penalties, it does still say possession.
Which paragraph are we in? Oh, penalties.
Yeah.
Is that bodily possession or in the trunk of your car possession?
If it's in your trunk, it's in your possession, so I assume, right, officer? I mean, if it's in your trunk, it's still considered possession. Sergeant, sorry, officer.
Yeah, we can modify the possession aspect of it. I still think the sale, with all the unknowns and the regulation by the state office, whether they're going to be, how much discretion they're going to allow cities to regulate time, place, and manner, regulating the number of dispensaries. I think that's good to still have a moratorium in place until we get more direction from the state. The use, avoiding it on sidewalks and parks, I think is important. Possession would probably be modified.
And really, the moratorium is for,
More of the sale.
so we have time to study what we want the ordinance to look like, the ultimate ordinance, and where the prohibitions are, what public areas can and cannot. Moratorium, you're right in the fact that, the board or the cannabis board is not supposed to be there until 2025. But communities are passing these moratoriums just in case all of a sudden something gets put together and we don't have our ordinance ready to go. So this is basically saying, hey, we need that time to do a thorough study to see what we want for ordinance in Zumbrota. And so great discussion. And I think you're right, Matt, that, we can make some adjustments on that possession part. I see what you're saying.
Public hearing,
Yep.
it's a first reading. I don't think council's gonna take action tonight, right?
No,
No.
no, we're not. We're actually gonna hold the public meeting open till
Next week.
September 7th. And then take action at that time after thorough time for comments.
Matt, do you want to work on rewriting that to? Perfect.
I just have, I mean, do you say 2 pounds in possession?
At your house, I believe.
That's what the law says.
That's what the law says.
What's your intent of having that much in your house? I mean, is this for redistribution to others?
It's what the state, that's what this, I mean, 2 pounds is a lot.
Cigarettes.
Yeah.
You know, what are you gonna do with 2 pounds of cigarettes? I know a lot of heavy smokers would store it in their refrigerator, freezer, you know, because they go through that much personally themselves, but.
That's what the state had put out for a guideline, that you can have 2 pounds in your, at your home, but only 2 ounces in your possession. So that's where them numbers came
But
from.
even 2 ounces, that's a lot, isn't it?
Depends on who you talk to.
How many cigarettes is that?
Depends on who you talk to. So, but yeah, I'm not disagreeing, but that was numbers that the state had put out, so.
Yeah, well, I haven't been following any of this agenda to really,
Yeah,
but now that it's being brought up,
yeah,
it's gonna take some time to put everything in place.
yeah. Perfect. Any more comments on the public hearing? I'm not. We'll move on to the next because we'll leave it open until September 7th. Do another public hearing there and then we'll vote on that as council.
Continue the public hearing.
Continue the public hearing. We'll jump down to 8A, unfinished business, annexation of half of 460th Street. Brian.
Yeah, I believe they had a meeting on Tuesday and I have not heard back from Roger Ballstad or Jason Lohman on that. I'll reach out to them next week just to see what they've decided. I'm kind of hoping that I sent them the orderly annexation paperwork. And so if you decide you want to sign it, wonderful. But I haven't gotten that back yet either, so I'm hoping that shows up in an email. Otherwise, I'll just contact them and see what they came up with. So we'll probably visit this again
Next week. Next meeting.
next meeting. Yep.
Perfect. Any comments on that? Thanks, Brian. 8B, budget discussion. Kim.
Nothing other than.
Turn your mic on.
Sorry, nothing other than what we presented last time. I haven't made any changes. I haven't gotten any feedback. That's not being mean. I just, you guys haven't said anything back that have any changes. We'll be continuing to work on it. My door's open if you have any explanation. It gets to be a long document. If you want any, I know Bob wants a printed copy. If you prefer a printed copy, let me know and I can certainly get those available for you.
Yep, and as discussed in the work session, a few of the things that are different in this budget from other years is there's some additional LGA dollars in there that we're talking about what we want to do with those additional LGA dollars, like we discussed that, we parked it in the equipment fund right now for public works equipment to try and help that fund out and maybe reduce the equipment certificates, which is another new thing for us, which is borrowing to update public works equipment, which is outdated and needing of replacement. And then there's also going to be some public safety dollars, but that will not be budgeted per se. It'll be treated more like the ARPA dollars or the CARES dollars is what we're envisioning. Again, based on, if you've got guys that have questions or suggestions or other thoughts, let us know. But right now we're kind of going down that road and there'll be more budget talks as we go before we have to approve it at the second meeting in September is when we approve the final preliminary budget.
Just to add to what Brian said, with those public safety dollars, when we look at money coming into the budget that we don't know if that's going to be a continual thing, we have always taken the tact to use it for things that would be a one-time purchase or something like that. So any purchases would be a proposal brought before council, which you could vote on whether or not to fund those. So that's how we anticipate those dollars being handled.
Any questions for Kim? Thanks again for working on the budget and more work to do. New business, Covered Bridge Festival update. Is that you, Krista?
She's Holly tonight.
I'm Krista Rao. I am with the Covered Bridge Festival Committee, and Covered Bridge Festival is coming along great. We're coming down to the 11th hour here, and we just have a few requests that we would like to ask from you guys. We have permission to close the park the 16th and 17th for the festival. And Friday night, the 15th, we plan on setting up tents and stuff like that for the vendors and different events that we have going on down there. And we would also like to ask if we could put a sign out by the Big Zimrota sign on 52, letting people know about our festival for the next week. That would be coming up. We'd ask to do it on Sunday before the festival. Another request that we are asking is, along with the closure, we are planning on contacting Gopher One to make sure that we're not putting in stakes over top of anything we shouldn't be. Another request is for road closures for that weekend. We're asking for East Avenue on Sunday for the parade from 2:30 to 7. The reason we're going until 7 o'clock is because the fire department would also like to do water fights on East Avenue as well. And we would also like to get your permission to close off the parking lot here at City Hall and the library for Sunday. The main reason is for the big car show that will be happening. And along with the car show, we'd also like to do portions of First Street and over that parking lot over there. Is that a public parking lot, or is that?
Part of it is, and I believe we already approved that based on Holly talking to the owners.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think that one should be a done deal.
She's just got it on my list to ask, so.
And all of that, you probably should send as a letter form to us so that we can get it on the agenda and vote on it.
Yeah, that's
what that is, yeah.
Oh,
Right here, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. I didn't see that.
I sent
Okay.
it late.
I'm like,
I got it.
Yeah, and there should be a map in there showing our parade route for Sunday on East Avenue there. Let me see, so road closures. Oh, and then also, if you guys have some good suggestions on how we can properly have 58 here marked for pedestrian crosswalk wise for that weekend, because I know last year that was a big issue. And we've talked with Officer Pasquale about it a little bit. He just made mention that we need to have it signed a little bit better for event crosswalk or something.
Yeah, I think that was a suggestion. I think that we can do, as long as the sign isn't in the road, I think we could probably set a sign out there saying, hey, event in progress or something like that.
Does the city
Is that-
have
Mike,
crosswalk?
do you know if the
like,
state would have an issue
signs?
with that?
No?
You could probably reach out to the state to have them put a mobile message board on the north and south side of town, warning of the, just notification of the event coming, of
Well,
the
we
event
do
in
have
progress.
contact with a warning light, I think it is, about up here by the bridge and then down there at 58 and 60, doing some event sign or something like that.
I mean, actually, they make crosswalk signs that could we put in the middle
I
of the
know at
road?
one time the city did have some, for Main Street, but I don't know if you guys still have them or? Oh, okay, so maybe I can contact someone at the school and see if we can borrow?
I'd be a little careful, just because I think I would talk to somebody from MinDOT before.
Okay.
Sure.
Do we have a contact for them at MinDOT?
Kevin?
Would it be the regional guy in Rochester?
Or do we have to start with Goodhue County?
No, it'd be a state because it's a state
58
road.
is state.
MinDOT would be my best.
Main office number would be able to direct you.
Okay. Another request that we ask is for the garbage can use from the city for the weekend. And if anybody's got some helpers that could come help us empty those garbage cans, because I know they got a little full last year and.
You're talking about the one down at the park for food and stuff.
I had sent an email back to Holly, telling her, to talk to LRS, because what we recall last year is that LRS brought out some extra cans and then a dumpster or two as well. So I passed that along to Holly.
Okay,
Um,
sounds
the other day.
great.
As for emptying them, I don't know who's around. But
That's all the requests that I was asked to bring to the council this week. And then also you guys come and enjoy the fun with us.
We'll be there. Question for you, Krista, on a sign out here for the cover, what do you plan on doing? I mean, just in the ground, attaching it to the Zambrodo sign? I mean,
We're planning on purchasing like a pole to put our sign on. It just says Covered Bridge Festival, kind of, they're signs like what the Mexican restaurant has.
oh, the tall one, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like a flag.
Yep,
Flag, yep.
Remember our signs outside of the right of way? So, you know, that would be, that's in MinDOT right away too.
What's that?
It is in right away.
It is. So then,
No.
not worry about MinDOT on that.
You can request it's a simple permit to get access to a temporary sign in the right of way. I know the auction does that all the time for putting out their signs. So that,
MinDOT?
yeah, you'd be looking for right of way, permit for right of way through MinDOT.
Councilman, any questions for Krista?
I have a comment. We did get a band for Saturday night at the Goose.
Awesome.
A really good band. They're out of Iowa and they just happened to be visiting up here, family up here that weekend. They travel all over the country and they're really, really good. So it's the Avery Groves Band. But I thought you might want to include that in your thing. I think people like it. It's going to be inside.
It's in the bird or?
Yeah, like it's Avery, Avery, Grow Band.
Grow.
Oh, Grow.
Yeah.
Grow or Grow? I can't remember which, but
Okay.
I can send it to Holly too. I think I have her email, but, yeah, so, and, we did it outside that one year, but most people stayed inside. So we're just gonna have it inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Packed house.
Awesome.
So my other thing is, do we have to vote on, that's why
I
I was
was-
asking about, it
I just
wasn't
lumped
listed
it
in there, what
together.
we can vote
So I
on.
was just gonna say, I think, council, that what I'm seeing is a request to close the park for the weekend, September 16th and 17th. Do we have anything in the shelter, Kim, do you think?
The shelter is taken by the Lions, I believe.
Okay, so that's kind of part of it.
But
Should have that in there too.
That's a park board vote.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, true. That's true. That's park board. That'll be Tuesday, September 5th. We can bring that there.
East Avenue, I see no problem with.
We have to vote on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
So East Avenue and the City Hall parking lot and the
And
library
parking
lot. James, you're not open on Sunday?
Correct.
So that should be okay? And then.
You paid it, you decide.
And then the flag pending the right-of-way
Approval.
permit from MinDOT.
Okay.
Those would be the approvals, I think.
And then also maybe the approval for signs, events, which has got to get approved by MinDOT too.
Yeah, if they're in the right of way, yeah.
True, yeah, you have to get off quite a ways if you're not in the right of way on this road, so. So that'll be another thing, Krista, to ask MinDOT about, so it's probably multiple right of way sign, or is it, they lump them all into one, you think?
They'd probably work it all into one.
They're talking about the crosswalk signs too, or whatever.
Well, yeah, if you want to do crosswalk, that's a whole nother animal, because then you're in the road.
Right, so that's why I think it's really important to reach out to MinDOT for that stuff.
Do we want a separate approval later after the permits are, or do we just approve it pending permits? Or we don't even have to write the right to approve it on 58, probably.
I mean, that's a state road, so I mean, we can't really approve anything because it's a state road.
So, yeah, so East Avenue, City Hall and Library parking lot and the flag. That one,
Go on pending.
well, but that is also in the right of way too, so.
So just East
So I'll make a
Avenue.
motion for that.
Those three,
Yeah,
the park, East Avenue, and the City Hall parking lots here.
Yeah.
yes.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 500. Thanks for your work on that, Krista, and Holly, and the rest of the committee. Let's go to appointing citizen representative around the code committee. Brian?
Yep, we received 2 applications prior to the deadline and 2 of them after the deadline. The 2 prior to the deadline are qualified applicants to consider. We had mulled over extending the deadline to get more applicants, but thought that, no, we're looking for 2, we have 2 qualified applicants. We should probably move those forward. But we did include the other 2 that came in afterwards. One was August 14th and the other one was today. 17th. So there was a couple other interested, but kind of way late. I don't know if you had a chance to review the letters that Marcy Burka and Susan Griffith sent in. But that would be the staff recommendation to appoint both of them to the code board for a period of 3 years. And you might ask, well, why are we just doing them and not the other ones that are going to make up the board? Well, we posted it, and I feel it's important to let them know sooner than later that they will be on there. And then Todd and I will follow up with the rest of the code committee makeup. We know it's going to be Todd. We're not sure which of you council members will want to be appointed to that, and we're not sure which representative from the police department yet. But we'll follow up on that again on hopefully the September 7th meeting to round out that committee, and then try and get meetings going shortly after that. So just looking for the approval on the 2 tonight, the 2 citizens.
And Marcia and Susan.
Okay, refresh my memory, is how many members of the community are going to be on?
Technically, oh, that's right, we have, 3, that's a good point, because there's one from the planning commission who is a citizen, but we wanted someone on there
3
with.
citizens total, but 1 will come from the planning.
Yep, so 3 citizens, that's a good point,
Yeah,
we do
I
need to
forgot
get
about
one
that.
from the planning commission as well. Glad you remembered that.
Well, I was trying to think how many citizens we're going to be on. So it'll be a total of 3, but 1 will come from the committee.
The planning commission, yep.
Plus a council, plus myself, plus an officer or a sergeant.
I'll make a motion to approve Susan and Marcy.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 500. Thanks for the 4 applications, and excited to get this committee rolling here in a month or 2. 9C, amendment urban chicken ordinance to add laying ducks, first reading. Brian?
Yep, we had a request and an application to look at amending the ordinance to add laying ducks. The underlying is that some people have an allergy to eggs, chicken eggs, and they would like to have some duck eggs. So this was, yeah, that's why. And then, so there was a public hearing. Oh gosh, did I write all that in there? Yep, we had a public hearing on 8/8/23. No citizens came to offer any feedback. The planning commission had good discussion and decided that they could move this forward, allowing 4 laying ducks, but 10 total. So right now we have 10 hen chickens that you can have.
But it would be 10 total.
It won't be 10 plus, it'll be 10 total. So if you had chickens and ducks, you'd have 6 and 4. We limited it to 4 ducks because there was some concern that they're dirty, a little bit more messy than chickens. And so that was what the planning commission came up with for a reasonable measure to move this forward. And we'll act on this at the September 7th. We're gonna be busy on September 7th. We'll act on this at that meeting as well. We just wanted to do a first reading since we've got it. I've got, Miranda's gonna post it on the website. Well, it's scheduled to go in tomorrow morning on the website and on the push notifications. So the notification will be out way before, for at least the 10 days. Of course, after we pass these, or if we pass the ordinances, then they'll get published in the paper after that. Well, anyway, this is just information right now. Comments or Matt, if you have anything to add?
Joan, any discussion amongst planning and zoning on that? Pros, cons?
I'm with Brian.
Yeah, I should let you speak to it, I forgot.
It was a pretty lengthy discussion, but I mean, I think everybody kind of ironed it out.
Yeah, it came back once or twice to staff to make some modifications.
What
So
was
it
the vote on that in planning and zoning?
I think only one
One.
said no.
One no.
Yep.
Yep.
610.
Perfect. Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Reports, Mr. Grudem.
Oh, I've got a whole page again. Hey, Mike, are you gonna report on Jefferson or should I run through? Kind of, okay. Well, I'm gonna start with the sanitary district. You will have minutes from all the joint powers meetings in the package, just as information. But I felt we should wait to approve the first set of minutes at the next meeting before I publish them. Proper way to do things. So starting, I think the September 7th, we'll have had a meeting with the joint powers. So you'll have the minutes from the first meeting in that one. The SEMCRA owner occupied rehab program, I spoke with Nick Goverman. He is planning to be in attendance for the council meeting on September 7th to present final numbers and next steps. Sounds to me like we're probably going to get the program and move that forward. I haven't gotten that for sure from him, but he'll be here on the 7th to fill us in on that. There's a weekly Jefferson update that goes out. I figured I would just run through it here. You can see it online. It goes out to anybody that signed up for the push notifications. But one thing to note is that starting on Monday, September 4th, care for the new sod will be the homeowners or businesses' responsibility. Bob? From Highway 58 to Dubuque. Phase 4 Marie Lane to Mayo Clinic. They're working on storm sewers and reconstructing the roadway. Mill Street intersection they're cranking away on that. I think they had a little less work there than they were expecting. So hopefully it'll go pretty quick. We've had a few, not too many public comments or calls on complaints. There's a function at the barn there. Stensland's barn, and she was wondering how to get the food in there, but I think they worked that out. So they're very, very willing to work with citizens as well. Phase 5 is 5th Street to Marie Lane. Starting Monday, 8/21 pavement on Jefferson will be removed from 6th Street to the north side of the private road located 300 feet south of 6th Street. I can't remember what that one's called. It's that private road off of Jefferson between Lincoln and 6th. They'll stop short of that to try and get them a way out. They're very concerned about how they're getting in and out of there during the project. 1st Street to 5th, they're installing storm sewer and reconstructing the 5th Street intersection. That's a priority too. They're going to try and get that open as soon as they can. The big intersection. We're gonna be painting City Hall. We've got some color samples in the office there. If you wanna see them on the way out, Sarah and Miranda pulled out a couple of nice colors today. So go see what we've tentatively looked at on your way out. From the community development side, Kurt wasn't unable to be here tonight. Nielsen's construction should start soon. We've got the plans, they're going through plan review. I think they're gonna start with the Caribou is what Nick thought. Get that part of it done first and then move on to the other side. There's also moving the gas head or main will happen too from the front of the building to the First Street side, Second Street side. And the new tobacco store applied for a sign permit, so it sounds like they're getting ready to open as well.
Is that it?
Yeah, I'll quit now.
Thanks, Brian. Matt? Sarge?
Just we had a pedestrian crash
Oh,
last weekend here
yes.
in town. Peggy was significantly injured. Pedestrian did everything correct, the driver did not. Enforcement action was taken on that, but just a briefing to the council that we did have somebody get struck downtown this weekend.
Yep, let me piggyback on that too. Thank you, Justin. I know we've said this before, we did receive a partnership grant from MnDOT to do rapid flashing beacons down there. And we had our kickoff meeting on Wednesday last week. And then the accident happened on Friday. So that reinforces our plea that we need to do something down there. So we'll have 2 intersections with rapid flashing beacons in the next year or so, which should help. And there, we'll look at some other things down there too, as far as, hear a lot of complaints about even drivers can't see around the corners. The parking is a little bit tight there. So we may just look at the parking down there again. I already spoke to Zeba, the Zeba group about it. It was there was only a couple of them here, the downtown businesses, but maybe we look at removing 1 spot per block and backing the cars up from the intersection so you can see pedestrians. And when you're coming out on the road, you can see farther to be able to get out. Because people,
in the middle of the road.
yeah, people tell me all the time, I gotta go out in the middle of the road and then I'll have to back up quick. And so we need to look at some things along those routes as well there. But the rapid flashing beacons, we're beginning that, and it'll go in front of the traffic engineers, and then so hopefully we can get that going and avoid any more of these. We've been fortunate not to have accidents down there up until now, and then it was ironic that we just met on the safety and then it happened. Feeling bad about that, but we're working on it.
And I do have some TZG money left that hopefully we can do some crosswalk enforcement stuff.
Great.
Here in the near future, so.
Good.
It's amazing how many people don't know that they need to stop.
Right. And it's a complete opposite too, because the pedestrians don't know the law either. Like they'll stand on the corner and get mad because nobody's stopping for them. Well, they gotta break that threshold before it's legal that they have to stop for them.
Yeah, and we gotta stop pedestrians from crossing in the middle of the block. Somebody's gonna get rear-ended out there one of these times.
And it's usually people going to the restaurants.
Well, or both ways.
Yeah. Perfect. Anything else, Sarge? Thanks, sir. Kim?
Nothing, thank you.
James?
Nothing today, thank you.
Mike? I have nothing either. Sarah? B.O.B.?
Nothing, sir.
Joan?
I did have the family that the lady was hit actually approach, and the husband was like, he wanted a stoplight, and I was like, I can sure bring it forward, but that's not something that we could even.
That's been visited.
That's a state road, yeah.
Certainly, bring it forward, I told him we were working with the flashing and stuff, so that's, and he's like, he appreciated that, but I was just like, I don't know. And I didn't even know that she was the woman who was hit. So I was picking on him. I'm like, oh, where's blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you didn't hear? I'm like, no. Yeah. So, but he said that he thought she'd be home. And she may even be home now because he thought sometime. Yeah, I was going to say he thought she'd be home early this week. So.
I mean, and Sarah can vouch because, we've been dealing with the Crosswalks, and Tina was a huge pusher on that. I mean, she wanted basically the whole intersection. I mean, and we've been working on it, but with it being a state road,
Yeah,
it's
it's kind of,
such
when
a
you said that, I
challenge.
was like, I don't think we have any, right to.
No, and I'd love to revisit the speed limit down there too, looking at a 25, because 30 is too
I've been
fast.
asking for that for about 10 years,
Yeah.
so.
Yep, so we'll revisit that with this process too. Not that anything can be done about that, but we will go there again.
Yeah, it's been talked about thousands of times, and we gotta keep on talking about it.
Sure.
I mean, because stuff like that happens, so. Thanks, Joan.
That's it.
Kevin,
Nothing.
meeting adjourned.
Yeah, you know me, Kevin, I'm like, yeah, where's your wife? And he's like, oh, you didn't hear him? I'm like, no, because I never leave my house, so.